So we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance, and the only people that wanted were these couple people.
I would see, all manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime for everyone involved.
And so I take this pill, and about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour, I'd say about an hour in, I start feeling real jittery and shaky.
Cassie has made a major request to Diddy, asking for compensation for everything he put her through, as well as the personal details she had to expose during the court proceedings. This has left Diddy feeling extremely concerned.
Prompted this investigation by the Southern District, and now Sean Combs stands before the court as a convicted felon of 2 federal crimes. He faces significant incarceration. Not the exact outcome that we wanted, but we are grateful to the jury for finding a guilty verdict on those 2 federal crimes. No amount of money is going to ever undo what she had to endure and what she had to go through. So I think both she and I didn't really take well to that as her being a winner. And frankly, the fact of the matter is that when she testified, she had already been paid the $30 million. So she had no vested interest in anything other than telling the truth on that witness.
Things are reaching a breaking point because of Cassie. Diddy is asking the judge to either dismiss his conviction or grant him a new trial, and he's doing this even before his sentencing. In a 62-page legal document filed Wednesday night, his lawyers argue that the federal government treated him unfairly. They claim the conviction is not only wrong but also unconstitutional and unlike anything seen before. What's clear is that this verdict has serious and painful consequences, especially for Diddy's victims.
Given their verdict of this case, far from the grab your snack, as we talk about how much time is he getting in the prison. At this point, we all know that Diddy was convicted on 2 counts of transportation of ladies and gentlemen. This crime holds a maximum sentence of 10 years. There's no minimum, but he was found guilty on 2 counts. So in a perfect world with simple math, he's facing up to 20 years in prison, but it's just not this. Our judicial system calls themselves trying to be fair, so there's a grid, like a chart, where you have guidelines based upon your criminal history. They don't think it's fair that if this is your first conviction that you should potentially face the same amount of time as if this is someone's 3rd or 4th. So there's a chart, actually, here's the chart right here. So this is the U.S. Sentencing Commission table, and this is Diddy's first conviction, believe it or not. So he will definitely fall right here in this first column. So in this very first section where you see offense level, you see zone A, B, C, and D, where the prosecutors are going to try to get to the highest zone that they can.
During the trial, prosecutors said Diddy was leading a group of close employees who pressured women, including singer Cassie Ventura and another woman known as Jane, to take part in inappropriate parties with adult entertainers. These events were called freak-offs or hotel nights. Here, an adult entertainer shares his experience with Diddy and those parties.
What's the first time Cassie and Diddy gave you?
Yeah, bro. Crack is whack, bro. Like, I definitely for me, I am the worst crackhead that you will ever see in your life. I can't do no kind of because so I can't remember if it was Cassie or him that initially asked me if I wanted to try it. I believe it was her. She asked me if I ever tried it before, but they was both standing there together. And I was like, no. And I think he was like, yo, you want to try it? It's going to make you feel real nice. You're going to feel relaxed. You're going to feel like, like cardio. And so I was like, man, I don't quit drugs like that. But, I mean, I guess, whatever. So I tried it. I mean, at this point, I've been with them for long enough. They're not hiding their identity no more. I'm shooting this shit with Cassie all the time now. Like, every time that we're together, we talking for hours and shit. So I feel a level of trust. And so I take this pill, and about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour, I'd say about an hour in, I start feeling real jittery and shaky and real chattery. I start talking to him. And so I guess I annoyed him, and he was like, yo, I think you need a break. So he was like, yo, I'm going to pay you a little something. Go get something to eat or whatever, and we're gonna hit you back when you feeling a little bit less like chatty. And so I left out the joint. She lived like by the BMW building on 59th Street in like a 10th, 11th Avenue, West End Avenue.
West End.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened, bro. Like it literally felt like 3 minutes later, my ass was in Times Square.
I told you about my situation. I was throwing up on the bathroom floor. I was messed up. They put me out of the hotel and sent me out into the street to go home. Dude, I'm throwing up all over the floor and I'm delirious. That's why that situation happened. Why I ended up walking from the Trump and Columbus Circle all the way down to Union Square. Because he put me out there with no regard for what was going to happen to me once I left that hotel. And now that I know what was going on, I see how little they actually regarded us as human beings. They just looked at us as people that they could use whenever they want.
Diddy's lawyers have pushed back, saying these events were fully agreed to by all adults involved and were simply part of a shared lifestyle. They also argued that the women are only speaking out now to get money from Diddy. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. In their new filing, Diddy's team says no one else in the U.S. has ever been convicted under the Mann Act in a case like his. They argue that if prosecutors had only charged him with the 2 transportation-related crimes, the trial would have played out very differently and there would have been far less focus on violence. Diddy's lead attorney recently spoke in detail about this in an interview.
What about the other component that we know the judge is very concerned about, and that is your client's propensity for violence? Even you yourself acknowledge that in the closing arguments of the case with what happened to Cassie on the video that the world saw, and in the instances with Jane. How can you reconcile your position now in this motion for bail, that he should be free and is not a danger to the public when we know these instances happened in the past?
So I think the key thing with what you said is that it happened in the past. I mean, the only instance that we have in recent memory was one, and the trial evidence showed this, where Jane essentially, started a fight with Mr. Combs, smashed his head against the counter, threw glasses at him. Jealousy was always a feature of their relationship, and Jane was jealous of his relationship with another woman. And so that was about 14 months ago that happened. But other than that, everything dates back, a number of years, 2018 and before. And as we made the point we made in the bail application as well is, Mr. Combs is seeking counseling, was seeking counseling for domestic violence before he was arrested. He was attending a program here in New York. And we really wish that he could have stayed in that program, but the federal government arrested him and then he was in jail and he couldn't continue with this very outstanding program, which I believe he'll come back to if he's released. And that's really, I started my career in the Manhattan DA's office, and I would see, all manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime for everyone involved. It's difficult, obviously, for the victim who has to live in fear from one of the people in her lives that she's the closest to or he's the closest to. But what I saw in the DA's office is that these were not resulting in lengthy prison sentences. These were resulting in appropriate, treatment programs, self-awareness, therapy, things like that. And I think this is what Mr. Combs needs rather than an extended time in prison.
This conviction stands alone, but it should not stand at all, wrote Diddy's lawyer, Alexander Shapiro. The defense argues that the government has been trying to paint Diddy as a villain from the very beginning. For months, prosecutors claimed he ran a 20-year criminal operation and harmed multiple women. But after a 2-month trial, the jury rejected those claims. In the end, Diddy was only convicted on 2 lesser charges. According to the filing, those charges don't even require proof that anyone was forced, threatened, or tricked. This raises the question, if Diddy is cleared, how does the government plan to keep him in check?
That he be allowed to live in his home in Miami, I should say at the mansion, it's really a mansion, as he awaits his sentencing in October. Now, the bond would be co-signed by 3 financially responsible people. His travel would be limited to Florida and to New York, and his passport would be surrendered. His lawyers say if necessary, they would even add in home detention, so electronic monitoring, private security, mental health treatments, also substance abuse treatment, and electronic surveillance to make sure that he stays where he's supposed to stay.
The government argued that Diddy broke the law simply by arranging for a longtime girlfriend or a paid entertainer to travel across state lines for intimate purposes. According to the filing, that alone is what he was found guilty of, nothing more. Diddy's lawyers also stressed that there was no financial motive and that everyone involved was an adult who made their own choice. However, several reports suggest that was likely not the full truth.
But she made it very clear he had been at her since she was like 18, 19 years old. It didn't become so-called official until her 21st birthday, and she was already signed. Matter of fact, if I'm correct, I believe that's the night that Britney Spears was there at that party as well, and they said that she was seen left with Diddy, half out of her gore. And Diddy was joking about what he had done with her. But I guess, we want to skip over all of that. So she started out as an employee. All of the beatings, because there were more than the beatings that we saw on that tape. Which, by the way, Mr. sat here on this couch and said he was beating that girl, he was raping that girl, he put the boots to that girl, and dared her to say anything. And you said, why would he do that? Because I said, because he thinks he's God. Now, we all saw that tape come out on my birthday, May 17th, 2024. And even though that was the first time I had seen that tape, it sounds like I described exactly what he was doing to that girl on that tape without me seeing. How could that be possible? How could I be that right? How could I guess that good?
How did you know?
Once again, everyone knew. Everyone knew. Just like the witness who came forward, who was too afraid when the grand jury came forward, they wanted her to testify. And she decided she was going to fall back, hoping that the government had enough from all of the raids, because they should have been able to make the case stick with everything that we know that they found during those raids. They had more than enough evidence. Funny how none of it made it to court.
During the trial, both women testified that they felt pressured to do what Diddy wanted. Cassie Ventura said she never wanted to be part of those parties, but was too afraid to say no because Diddy controlled her career and money. She also told the court that he had been violent toward her, and the jury was shown a 2016 surveillance video of Diddy physically aggressive with her, a video first released by CNN in May 2024. Even so, the jury did not convict him of trafficking either woman.
His attorney told the world basically, like, yes, Diddy is a swinger. He can't just go out into a swinging party. He may have to hire people to come into his world to do those swingish things.
A swingers party with as many different people as he had at those parties. And understand this, these sections that he's talking about swinging, there were multiple men. It wasn't just one-on-one action, and I don't know why they're all lying. Like, they're all lying through their caps. And anybody who doesn't want to see that, well, then that's just on them. But I'm going to tell you something right now. If he really wanted to sue Cassie because he was upset about a baby deletion and all the diseases that she gave him and all of the terrible things that she did to him, why did he have to wait for her to sue Diddy?
Well, I think he waited for the testimony. Cassie opened it.
No. If he was so, he said he had always intended to go after her. He planned on coming after her. Tyrone Blackburn had stopped.
I mean, $30 million changes a lot.
$30 million changes a lot. Come on now. You got Diddy and all of that, but you had to wait for her to get some money in order for you to want to come forward. That doesn't make any sense, especially when you're a money-grubbing little hoe like him. And he is a money-grubbing little hoe. He's enjoying his press tour, talking about how he might not be the best looking, but he was the best in bed. How would she know as high as she was?
He said they had an 8-year run, like 8 years.
Yeah, and in those 8 years, he didn't mind getting burned and coming back.
Diddy's legal team says this shows the jury didn't believe the women were victims of trafficking or abuse. They also argue it's rare for someone to be convicted under the Mann Act without making money from the activity, being directly involved, or planning it with the intent to harm or break major laws. According to the filing, Diddy is in jail because he paid adult entertainers who agreed to make private videos with his girlfriends, which were later watched together. His lawyers argue this isn't a crime, and if it is, then the law itself is unconstitutional. They add that the videos, parts of which were shown in court, did not prove wrongdoing. Instead, they say the videos were personal, creative content protected by free speech. Still, Jaguar Wright believes there's something suspicious about the evidence that was allowed in the trial.
Given that she dropped a lawsuit, he kicked out $20 million in 24 hours. Why would you do that if he did nothing wrong? Why? You were doing it out of the kindness of your heart? Why? Why? Just like Mr. Clayton Bixby. Because that's what he looks like, the crackhead. Oh. That Dave Chappelle used to play on the show, the Clayton Bixby. He looks just like that to me. Oh. I'm sorry, I don't care how magnificent you say your teeth. I couldn't make it past the look of your face, sir. Cassie would have needed to be high on all of the stuff in that baby oil and everything else, y'all, just to be able to make it through you. Or maybe the diddler really chose him because he wanted to make sure there was somebody there that was uglier than him. You know, of all of the things y'all have heard me say, y'all, for all of this time, have you ever heard me get into any of these nasty details that you heard pop out through the trial?
No.
You ever hear me talk about the size of people's members, the nasty little. I pretty much kept it short, didn't I? I said, y'all, exactly how trifling and nasty it really was, did I not?
No.
I mean, considering how disgusting all of this stuff is, I think I gave it a lot of grace. And yet I was still very accurate about everything that I said was happening, except for the whole idea that, oh, no, there was no other celebrities. There was no other celebrities were there. And this only happened with these couple of people. And so we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance, and the only people that responded were these couple of people.
So the question, Jag, is, do you feel the feds, the prosecution, put on a good case? Did you believe they put their best foot forward, or maybe they rushed things, or maybe they didn't do their due diligence in certain areas?
I think, considering what's going on with the Epstein list right now.
Exactly.
Both women testified that Diddy threatened to release the videos if they didn't do what he wanted, leaving them feeling humiliated, scared, and powerless. Along with asking for a new trial, Diddy's lawyers have also requested that he be released on $50 million bail until sentencing. They argue that he is not dangerous and will not try to run away. However, the judge has already denied bail before, pointing to Diddy's history of violent behavior.
The only one.
Yeah.
You saw how that turned out.
No, guilty.
That's why they do it. To make you an example. To remind you what they're willing to do to keep things the way they want them. It's intimidation. Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for. You could try to get a special prosecutor, but they'll just pay somebody to reassign him to another case.
When Diddy asked for bail earlier, several people, including Cassie Ventura, wrote letters to the judge saying they would feel unsafe if he were released. His sentencing is currently set for October 3rd. Since his arrest in Manhattan in September 2024, he has been held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. Even though Diddy was found guilty in federal court last month, former President Donald Trump said he still considers him half innocent, pointing to a history between the two.
Let's not get it twisted. I mean, Diddy has parties with Trump. Diddy has had parties at the Trump Tower, possible freak-offs at the Trump Towers. We have to look at behind
Kelly lived out of his Trump Towers when he was doing what they. Isn't it funny how they was able to convict Robert Kelly of a RICO, but not the Diddler? And the Diddler had so much more money. I mean, Robert Kelly would have had money if he had been able to read and write and known that they was robbing him blind before they put him in jail. But on the book, isn't that funny? Want to know what else is funny? But in the middle of that trial, R. Kelly was rushed to the hospital after being overdosed. He didn't overdose himself. The medication was given to him by the people in jail. And his legal team came forward and said that the feds were trying to kill him. There was another prisoner who said that they was going to let him do the deed. All he had to do was beat the crap out of him. And when he went to the hospital, his body was filled with blood clots. And the jail pulled him from the hospital before he could be treated. Interesting. Okay. Tory Lanez also almost lost his life. While I was in New York, first day of trial after the jury had been selected. Funny, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, do you feel that was a hit? From the outside.
I'm sorry, somebody that you've been dealing with for quite some time that you was all right, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, he was looking at your girl, and he was talking to your girl, and you got to poke him up 14 times on the first day of Diddy's trial. You want to know what else was going on during Diddy's trial that I was really focused on and nobody else was focused on? Demore Hadley.
Oh, yes.
Daughter of Desiree Perez. See, I went to the courthouse. I saw exactly what it was hitting for. I knew it was all. I knew they was the whole goddamn thing up, and I knew they had everybody wagging the dog and working me.
When it comes to the idea of giving Diddy a presidential pardon, Trump admits it's not that simple, mainly because of the things Diddy has said about him in the past.
On Diddy Combs, right? Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they were, still in jail or something. But,
yeah.
He was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great. And seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you.
Yeah, and it's hard, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office, and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know. It's more difficult. It makes it more. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs.
I would say so.
Okay.
At the time of Trump's interview, Diddy was being held in the same federal facility that stayed open after another one in the city shut down in 2019. That earlier facility was closed following the death of Jeffrey Epstein, a disgraced former Trump associate, while he was awaiting trial. Although the official report says Epstein died by suicide, his family continues to dispute that claim.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein has made explosive allegations in an Australian exclusive interview with 9 News. Mark Epstein claims the convicted pedophile was murdered behind bars and is calling on President Trump to reopen the probe into his death.
Another day, another Epstein denial from Donald Trump.
I never had the privilege of going to his island.
Tonight, Jeffrey Epstein's brother Mark says he wants the president to reopen the investigation into the sex offenders 2019 suit.
Do you believe since your brother's death there has been a cover-up?
Well, there's certainly been a cover-up of his death. I'm just concerned about the fact that it looks like he was murdered.
What motive do you think somebody might have had for wanting to kill him?
To quiet him. He had some people in 2016 during the election. He told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, that they would have to cancel the election.
Donald Trump was one of those candidates, Hillary Clinton the other. There's no suggestion either is involved in Epstein's death. The US president admits he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for years, but denies any wrongdoing.
And in the early 90s, I know Trump was in Jeffrey's office a lot when he was in financial trouble. They used to fly in each other's planes. Jeffrey would tell me funny stories what happened when they were together.
Today, Trump shared why that relationship fell apart.
Because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people to work for him.
You said that Jeffrey ended the relationship because he believed Donald Trump was a crook. Where do you think the truth lies?
I mean, I know my brother. You know, he wouldn't. I don't think he'd say that unless that's what it was.
Mark's message to Donald Trump:
stop covering things up and let a real, honest homicide investigation take place.
Likely to fall on deaf ears.
My poll numbers have gone up 4.5 points.
The Department of Justice has faced criticism for not releasing more information about the Epstein case, despite earlier promises to make details public. When it comes to pardons, Trump has the power, but his past comments and personal ties could play a big role in whether he uses it. The question is, could he let Diddy go free? And more importantly, would Cassie be safe if that happened?